what that fate is. And that's something you're not going to think about when you're falling in love, but it's something you always need to think about, because your life is going to be more difficult if you do not marry a faithful Christian. Because there were some Christians in Thessalonica that were concerned about their loved ones that had passed on, Paul writes in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, beginning with verse 13, "But we do not want you to be uninformed, brethren, about those who are asleep, so that you will not grieve as do the rest who have no hope. For if we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so God will bring with him those who have fallen asleep in Jesus. For this we say to you by the word of the Lord, that we who are alive and remain until the coming of the Lord will not precede those who have fallen asleep. For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first. Then we who are alive and remain will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so we shall always be with the Lord. Therefore comfort one another with these words." And of course, it is a great comfort. It is a great comfort to know that your loved ones are safe with the Lord. And what a great comfort it is to people who have shared their lives together, spent 40, 50 years and 60 and more, as some have in this congregation, understanding that it's rare that you're both going to die at the same time, so therefore one of you has got to be left behind. But even in that grief, you have the joy of knowing that I'll be with them someday. That's a promise of God to faithful Christians, living happily ever after. And that dream only comes true to Christians, not to the world. The overwhelming majority of you have heard me talk about this many times, and you know my background. You know that Sharon and I got married when we were 19 and 18 years old. You know that we were both Christians. And I can remember growing up, my parents taught me this, and the preachers all talked about this, that Christians should marry Christians, that this is the way you're going to ensure your happiness. And so I was not going to marry someone who was not a Christian. Now, I had girlfriends before Sharon that were not Christians, but I had no intention of marrying somebody that wasn't a Christian. And God had a hand in this, because Sharon wasn't a Christian until, well, not too long before we got married. It wasn't my doing, though. It was a friend of hers who invited her to services, and she was converted. But I can tell you, we don't have any perfect people, so we don't have any perfect marriages. But mine's as close to perfect as I need and want. And it's all because Jesus Christ is first in our lives, and not each other. It's a wonderful thing to be second to Jesus Christ, trust me.